Hey guys, it's Deneen here, and today I'm sharing with you a little bit more about my project that I do every summer called Days of Summer. And this year, it just so happens that it is 81 days of summer. And so those days represent the number of days I am off from school on summer vacation. And that does change every year. Over the past 4 years, including this year, we have had 83 days, 80 days, 82 days, and 81 days. So this is the fourth year I am doing this wonderful little project, and it doesn't necessarily need any kind of process video, but I have received a lot of questions from people about just little details, like how do I do this or how do I do that? And I just kind of decided that maybe it would be best just to make a little bit of a video to kind of share with you the thoughts that I have when it comes to this amazing project. So this project is very simple. It is just each day, one photo and one story. That is it. Nothing fancy, date stamp, right? Maybe just a date stamp on the photo. I am just using up my journaling cards. And that is actually what went ahead and kind of sparked me to do this project 4 years ago. I am a subscriber to a lot of the Ali Edwards kits, and through the years, I have accumulated a very large amount of them, as many of us probably have. And for me, a lot of it was due to the fact that I wasn't doing Project Life. I had started Project Life in 2013. I think I went all the way up to 2020, which you would think that because we were on quarantine because of COVID, that I would have worked on it more, but I didn't. So I kind of just stopped, and then I picked back up again in 2023. So long and short of the story is that I had a lot of cards. I had a lot of cards, and I was able to cut up a lot of them, use pieces of them, take sayings from them. There were a lot of things that I was able to do with them. Unfortunately for me, the cards were piling up faster than I could use them. So in came this particular project and the simplicity of just being able to add some journaling to the cards and put everything in pockets. So there's a lot of little details. I do this in the summer. So this project is kind of like a ritual for me. The last day of school is my actual first day of summer break because we're only there for a couple of hours. We get our things and then we go home. So this year it is 81 days, but you could adapt that to any time period. For example, if you wanted to do 1 month, right? Let's just say, just like we do December daily. Well, my birthday falls in August, so let's say I did the whole month of August, right? I'm going to document the month of August. So it could be small. That would just be like, what, 31 days? You can do a season like I do, summer. Now, I'm not actually doing the summer that is real according to like the solstice and all that stuff like that, but I'm doing my summer. So that's just a season to me, right? One season. You could do this all year if you wanted to. If you wanted to just simply find one story about each day for the entire year, it works that way as well. The thing for me is that I want it to have a beginning as well as an end. So doing it all year for me would be something that just never ended, right? Just like I'm back at Project Life now. If you've seen my YouTube videos and you've gone on my Instagram, you know I do Project Life. I just finished 2024 and I'm already rolling into 2025. So to me, Project Life is ongoing. It is always there. I like this because it has a beginning and it has an end, and I can say, hey, I'm getting to the end of this project and I can't wait to do it again next year. And that's, to me, the way I feel about December Daily, except December Daily for me, again, is super complicated. And I know it doesn't have to be, but it is the one project that I truly enjoy just going overboard with, right? Lots of flip outs and flip ups and flip opens and twisty things and turny things and hidden things. So this is like that in terms of I do it for a certain period of time and I do document something every single day, but it is much, much less in terms of the work that goes into it. I like the simplicity of it. I really do. So the detail, I usually use any smaller size album. So right now, this year, I'm working in a 6x8. But I did do a 3x8 when I first started. I had that album available to me. Here's a screenshot of one of the spreads, or two of the spreads, or I don't know, of that album. And this is again from 2022. So this was just simply 3x4 cards and 3x4 photos. And that was fantastic. I enjoyed it and definitely enjoyed it enough to want to do it again. That's for sure. So that is generally the concept. Page protectors. In that album, 3x8, obviously there's only one kind of page protector if you want a photo and a card. But for 6x8, there are a lot of choices. The first one of choice for me is the 6x8 with the two 4x6 openings. It's the one that I pull for the most, and it's probably the one that appears the most inside of my album. But I then also realized that I was using up my 4x6 journal cards in this second year of doing it in 2023, but I wasn't using my 3x4 cards. So now I had to think, how can I combine them both? So I did that, and I was able to pull out the 6x8 protector pockets with the 3x4s, two of those, and then the 4x6. And that was great for a little bit more diversity, right? I could add my 3x4 cards, my journaling cards, into these pockets, but it also opened doors to using some of those filler cards, right? Some of those cards that have sayings on them or little pictures or quotes and stuff like that. And so now I was thinking, okay, I have more space. I'm still only using one page, but I can add other things besides just a journaling card. So that definitely opened more doors and more opportunities for me. And I think this year I'm going to try out the 6x8 with the 4 3x4 pockets. So I haven't used that yet. But in my thought process, I figured, why not, right? I could definitely use way more cards if I have way more pockets. And so you will see, if you follow along with me on my Instagram, that I will be incorporating this particular setup into my 81 Days of Summer album. So page protectors are a must. My whole goal here now this year with these new page protectors is to mix it up, right? I want to have different sized photos. Just, I could do 3x4, I could do 4x6, I could do a lot of addition of, maybe two 3x4 photos and then a 4x6 journal card. The opportunities are there. It also gives me the chance to think about the orientation of the photos. Using the 2-pocket 4x6 was great and is great, and I love it. I definitely shoot more portrait photos than I do landscape. So sometimes I find myself looking at a portrait photo that I took and saying, how can I change this to landscape? So I am happy that now I'm able to kind of do the different orientations of photos within my Days of Summer album. Choosing the cards. This is a personal preference, and I actually do go back and forth. Most of the time, I am waiting until the end of a week, and I am sitting down and I am doing the entire week of photos and journaling in one sitting. So perhaps I will start on a Monday, and then on Sunday, I will sit down at my desk and I will print every photo, and then I will choose journaling cards. And that is just a box. I don't know. The screen of me here is very tiny, but let me see if I can show you my box. So here is a box that I have with the journaling. You can see how much I have. I mean, that's a lot, And so I have this box, and I also have one for 4x6, and I will go through and I will pick out ones that relate to the stories that I want to tell. And so they may be simple and have space for just some journaling with some word art on it. Some of them may end up not having any word art. There are some cards from the Scrapbook by the Month kits that just have designs on them, like a painterly design. I will type on those. But choosing the cards when I do that is one sitting thing, and I go through this deck. I go through this deck one time. Okay. Now, I sometimes wake up in the morning and I'm like, I feel like working on my 81 Days of Summer album. And so maybe I will go ahead and just do one day. Okay. Again, this all depends on time. How much time do I have? I'm off for the summer. I'm busy with other things, but I make time for scrapbooking over the summer. It's important to me. So I could get up in the morning and have my cup of coffee, and I could print out the one photo from the day before and look for a journaling card. Okay. If I were to do that every day, I will look through this little box of journaling cards every day. And honestly, after about a week, I start to know what cards I already have. Like every day looking at them is just reminding me. And so maybe I'll take a photo and say to myself, ooh, I know I have a journaling card. Let's see, what do we got here? I know I have a journaling card that says, looking back, right? I was looking back. I something made me look back, right? I saw something that reminded me of something in the past. Maybe it was a bird, or maybe it was a specific car, something that reminded me. And I'll say, I have a looking back card. So that will happen to me after about a week. I'm already know what I have, at least in the first maybe 3 inches of that box. But like I said earlier, it does give you the opportunity to use your filler cards. So I am able now to not only use the journaling cards and add my journaling to them, but I am also able to look for some filler cards and use them up as well. And I definitely have a lot of those. This is just the journaling cards here. That's all that this is. I know. But I do have another box of filler cards. And again, this is an opportunity for me to use those cards, which makes me happy. So here's an example of filler cards on this particular spread. On the left-hand side, I have a 3x4 photo. And then next to it, I have the 3x4 journaling card. And on the bottom is a 4x6 filler card. And it's just the way I took this photo. It was oriented in a portrait manner. It was really hard to try to crop down without cutting most of the cats out. And I said, hey, I'll keep it 3x4. I'll keep it 3x4, use the 3x4 card, use the 4x6 filler, and that was perfect for me. On the right side, you'll see that I just have the basic orientation that I started out with on the second year, which was just 4x6 photo and a 4x6 journaling card. So again, nothing wrong with either one of them, but just an example. Another example here on the left side, we have a photo. And on the right of that photo is a filler card, right? So now this filler card is 3x4. And then I did my journaling on the bottom in a 4x6 card. So that is yet another option for me to do. So if there are 81 stories in this summer, I can definitely blow through more than 81 journaling cards, right? Because I could use this orientation, and right here on these 2 pages alone, I'm using 4 of my journaling cards. So I could use 2 a day if I want to. On the right side, we have another photo. And then on the right side of that photo, we have a 3x4 journaling card. So that one was an instance where I had a great journaling card for that picture. And then on the bottom is a 4x6 filler card, and it has a quote on it. That is another option that you can do if you are interested. And another thing I do want to point out here, because this is something that I was thinking about today. There you go. Look at that little sticker, right? I used a little sticker there. I generally do not add anything to my pages, but I was thinking about that today, and I was thinking about how, why not, right? Let's say you don't want to just use up some of your journaling cards. Maybe you want to use up phrase stickers or chipboard pieces, or maybe you want to use up some vellum pieces, some die cuts that you got in a particular kit, right? You can add additional things. There's no rules. You just make up the rules as you go. The foundation being the journal card and the photo. And then expanding upon that makes this project a little less simple than what I do. But Again, there are no rules. You can do whatever you want to do. And depending upon the time you have in your life or how many supplies you want to get through, you can make those decisions on your own. Another spread here on the right-hand side here, you see a photo of me and my friend. This one has the 3x4 photo, and it has the 3x4 filler card. But the 4x6 card is one of those cards that has little homes on it, right? So it's not just about a big paragraph of journaling. It can be, but you can also break your journaling up into little sections. And I haven't read this one in a while, but you can see I have 4 currently things going on there. I might have stamped those on now that I'm looking at this. So heck, that's another thing you could add in there. You could add some stamping in there. I mean, I'm definitely stamping the date, but you could add some stamping onto the journal cards. Super fun, right? So this is another option. A different iteration of that would be these 2 pages here. This one on the left has 3 places for journaling. And then on the right, we are looking at 5 pieces of journaling. And so if you were to read this journaling here, it says summer is, summer is, summer is, but the picture's just grapes, right? So in my process, I'm not necessarily writing about grapes, right? I'm not going, ooh, let's tell a whole story about grapes. I might go, oh, you know what? Growing up, I used to eat grapes and my father used to bring us grapes, or my grandfather. I could go into tons of stories about grapes if I wanted to. But in this case, grapes represent summer to me. So for me, I put the picture in, did the journaling about summer. So again, 4x6 photos and the divided journaling cards, you could totally use them in here as well. One last thing is a cover page, and I have, from the beginning, always did a cover page. I've always did, or I've always done. I think it's done. My English teacher friend would not be happy with me. But anyway, I've always done a cover page. And so I just wanted to quick share here with you those 4 cover pages. The first one in 2022 was the 3x8 album, where I have some, not stamping. This wasn't stamping. This was stenciling. I made a stencil on my Cameo with the 83 Days of Summer on it. And then I used a dauber and some ink to kind of fill them in. I like the look of that kind of, I don't know, inky kind of look, I guess. But this was very simple, right? I added a piece of chipboard, I put my dates, and then we called it done. And that was 2022. In 2023, I got a little more crazy. I saw someone doing this stitching on Instagram in one of those little loops. I don't know what they're called, but those little wooden loops where you do your cross stitching. I said, I could do that on paper. I could totally do that on paper. Let's experiment. So I did. And I used the floss and I made some stamping. I did some stamping. The Days of Summer, Moments to Remember 80. Again, this was the opportunity for me to get a little more creative at the beginning of this project in 2023. 2024 brought on this page. It was the only year I did a reason why. And I don't have a reason why for that. I don't know why I don't always do a reason why, but this was the year that I did. And that's fine. You could. You don't have to. But I added that onto a page I created in Photoshop Elements, a hybrid page with a speech bubble and my reason why, 82, and a label sticker. And that 82 and the label sticker are mounted on craft plastic. So they do swivel up for 2024. And then for 2025, this is the most recent one here. I made my own die cut and I chose a font and I did some digging into some digital designs, right? And I masked them inside of the numbers and letters. And then I did a print and cut on my Cameo. So again, just something fun. No reason why here, just a label with the dates. Again, totally up to you. But I do yeah, I kind of like, I promote this project because of the joy that I get from it, because of the simplicity of it, because it doesn't need to be that simple. But it's so super doable, and it's doable while you're working on other projects, right? I journal into my iPhone. So I dictate into the journaling app. So if I am pulling up a photo, for example, yesterday's photo was of a screenshot of a Zoom that I participated in. And then after I took the screenshot, I just went into the journal on my phone and I just dictated into it and talked about, how it was to be on that Zoom call, what we talked about, how it felt. It's not perfect, but it is my foundation, right? And then I send that to my computer, fix it up a little bit, spell checks and all that happy stuff. And then I just copy and paste it in Photoshop Elements onto the digital journaling cards. So it's not the longest process in the world for each of these individual pages. And it's really not that even long if you're doing it in one sitting. Next time I do that, I am going to time myself. Because a lot of times the bulk of the time for me to do things is me thinking of what to write in my journaling. I'm super particular about that. So if you take that away, because I've already dictated the journaling, I betcha I could probably do an entire week in less than an hour. So again, I had to share this project with you guys. I hope I've answered a lot of the questions that people have been asking. If not, please leave a comment because I definitely will try to hit on anything that I've missed. In the meantime, we are going to take a quick look at just some pages from a couple of those albums. So I'm going to go ahead and grab those albums and we'll just kind of flip through a little bit and we'll look at some of the content, right? Let's just go right to the source and pull out the albums so I could show you some of the content if you are interested, because a lot of people say, well, geez, what could you possibly document, right? You're not working, you're at home, and what could you possibly be documenting every day? So I'm going to show you some of the things that I document every day. Alrighty, so I will be right back with one of those albums in just a few minutes. Okay, so this is my 2022 album. This is the 3x8. You can see it gets very chunky, but I did want to walk through just a few things with you to show you some of the ideas for content. Okay, so again, I realized after the fact that I did do a reason why on this one. So maybe I did a reason why on all of them except for this year, which I could always add it in after the fact if I want to. So again, what can we do pictures of? What can we tell stories about? My bed, right? Crazy. People might think, why would you want to tell a story about your bed? But this was a story that I wanted to tell on that particular day about why I have and have not slept in my bed. And so that was what was on my mind for that day. Cats, people, TV shows. I was in the middle of watching Stranger Things, and that was taking up a portion of that day. Maybe I was having a personal day, and I decided that I wasn't going to do a lot. So that might have been the most memorable thing about my day, and that is completely and totally okay, right? You don't have to worry about whether people think you're telling good stories or not. That is not something you need to worry about. Me and my son playing Uno. Here we have a time that I was in my car waiting for my dad and I was watching some Ally videos. So that was something I wanted to tell a story about. Again, more people. And I'm thinking about things like maybe this story isn't about the person in the photo. Maybe this story is about what we were doing in the photo. In this case, it's about going for breakfast and how we've done it so many times. So I might use this photo for something else, maybe in Project Life, but I'm telling it from a different perspective. other people's photos. I did not take this photo here. This photo was taken by somebody else and they sent it to me. And that was what I wanted to talk about that particular day. Maybe it brought me joy, right? So I could have done a million things that day. Maybe I took a million photos that day, but this was the photo I wanted to include. The bird's nest that was in one of my hanging baskets. Somebody else's photo here. Again, doesn't have to be your photo. It could be something that somebody sent to you and it just got your attention that day, right? Here's a photo of me doing some cooking, a photo of some rocks that I painted. It's magic in the mundane, right? Very mundane, but it was magical to me, right? It was magical to me. More people photos. This was a story of something that wasn't so awesome, but it was still a part of the day. And so it became a part of my album. Another not so awesome story, a food story, right? We tell all kinds of stories like this in Project Life, in Week in the Life. Again, it doesn't have to be fancy. This is your everyday life. It is what you're doing on any given day, and it is totally okay. A picture of my watch, and the story is not about my watch. The story is about my watch showing me photos, right? My watch would show me photos, and it just, in this case, I didn't even summon the photo. It just popped up, and it was a photo of my mom right before she passed, and it made me go, that's today's story, right? Why did she pop up on my iWatch, right? Why did she do that? Washing my truck. I did that for this year as well. So that's a big thing for me, right? I don't get to wash my vehicles during the school year very much. So that is something that matters to me. People photos, little birds that were in the nest, they hatched. So of course that went in there. More people, more plants. Again, a lot of us do that. I don't do this as much because I'm not the biggest gardener in the world, but I like to add that stuff in there. Here's a drink. Here I am scrapping about scrapping. I was doing my Week in the Life album in a 4x4 that year. Time with friends. A visit to the vet. A kitty that my friend found. So again, you are pulling content from your everyday life, and you don't have to worry about it being something good or something bad or something hard. Again, you can just pull from whatever you think is important. Okay, so that is the 3x8 album. Okay, and again, I have the spine labeled. Let's pull out another album here and see what we can look at. I'm having fun just looking at these albums in themselves. This is the one from 2023. So the one from 2023 has this wonderful cover on it, and I'm willing to bet there might be a reason why in there. Let's turn this around and see. Yep, there's a reason why. So I guess I'm going to have to get working on a reason why for this year, but I will. And then here is the addition of the different cards that I mentioned in the first part of the video, right? Filler card, a divided journaling card, 4x6, 3x4 photo. Again, another filler card. And it's so great to use those. So great to use those. What else do we have? Again, just using the regular 4x6 here. Another filler card here. So that is something fun. More filler cards. I think this particular year, I really liked using this 3-pocket page protector. I think I enjoyed that a lot. Definitely gave me more options to use my cards. I'm so excited about this. I really, oh gosh, I really want to sit down with this. Maybe that's what I'll do one of these days coming up soon, is on a nice day, I'll go out on my deck with these albums and I will just sit and read through the stories that I told, right? Kind of like reading a book. I will read my old journaling, and this is from 2 years ago, where my life was very different at the time. I just had a lot of different things going on. So it'll be fun to go back and revisit what was going on in my life at that time. Here's some plants, some food, plants and food. Here's the one that I showed you in the video. Here is its opposite page there. Again, 4x6, 4x6. Another 3-pocket one here. I'm talking about working on my week in the life again. So yeah, I have a lot of stories about actually memory keeping. And let's see, trying to find anything that might be different than what I already spoke about with you. But of course, like I said, if you come up with any questions and you have anything that you'd like to know, just let me know. Just let me know. I do want to point out that I am somebody who types most, if not all, of my journaling. It's very rare that you'll see my writing. This could be made even simpler by just handwriting your stories on your cards. So you don't need to have any fancy Photoshop skills for this. You can simply just take a picture, write on the card, right? You don't have to do anything fancy. Here's a picture of, I'm looking at this, another not so good story. My air conditioning went, my AC unit went, and I was sleeping on the floor in the extreme humidity with a box fan on me. And that is, even though it wasn't good, it was something that I wanted to remember. It was something that I wanted to remember. So again, people, you don't have to have a lot of journaling. Look at here, just a little itty bitty piece. That's all that was. Sometimes I have a lot to say, sometimes not so much. Here you go. This one right here has a lot of little divided boxes, 8 of them to be exact, and I put a little bit of information in each one of those. So that, oh, here's a circle one, right? You can use up those circle cards, 1, 2, 3, 4. And in those instances, when I do that, right, this story has a crock pot in it, but it talks about Ray's garden. It talks about a recipe and me cooking, right? So there's more than one little story there. It's a compilation of things that go around there. Here, I finally got an air conditioner instead of the box fan, one of my best friends. Just showing you the different examples of things that you might do. Let's take a quick look at the one from last year. Quick look. Here is this album. Oop, a little bit of cat hair there. I have a spine on it, as you saw in the video. And then you open up this album. Here is how this opens up, right? That's where you see my reason why. So you can flip this up and flip this back down. So that's my reason why. On the back of that, I have a full page photo. And this is the photo that I take every year at the end of the school year. And I decided to add that on the back there because the reason why was under here. And I needed something here because the page protectors started here. So all different kinds of options for something like this. There you go, a simple heart card. That's from a Scrapbook by the Month kit. I didn't know what I was going to do with that. I found a wonderful spot for it. I'm taking pictures of dishes in my sink. I know we all do that, right? I'm sure during Week in the Life, you totally did something like that as well. Same kind of concept. What are the things that go on in my everyday life that I might want to tell a story about? I didn't feel good. I don't know. I'll see what happens. Maybe somewhere down the road we'll read a couple days that I ended up being sick. I think that was the case. I'm pretty sure that was the case. But this was in the beginning of June. I swear I was sick in July last year. But that's okay. Again, more 4x6, 4x6, 4x6. Photo from my son. Did not take that photo. Okay, here is, I believe this is on vellum if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, this is a vellum card right here. So you can do that as well. My Epson PM400 does print on the vellum from Allie. 2 spots here. What else? Cats. Oh, we cleaned my truck. So it looks like I do cleaning of the vehicle every summer, right? Something like that. Again, scrapbooking. So I was actually telling the story of this particular project. So you could add that in there as well. Here's some organizing. This was a visit to see my son. And I did more than one page on this. This was in my project life. I did a story with it in my traveler's notebook, my foodie. It was the Story Play Foodie Kit. And that day we went out to eat and I told that story. So again, different perspectives, right? Same day, same event, different perspectives. So I must not have gotten sick. I thought that I did. I am going to be adding a picture of this plant into my scrapbook this year. Funny story. At the end of the season last year, this thing had it. It was, I took care of it all season and it was just starting to get brown. I had done everything and my mind went, well, I thought it was a perennial, but I don't know. I don't think it's a perennial. And I had thrown away the tag, so I wasn't even sure what it was. But I thought it was some sort of black-eyed Susan. But again, maybe there are different versions of that particular plant. This one may have been an annual. So I took all of the dead stuff out and I took this pot with the trellis on it and I put it underneath my deck. I thought, okay, I'm going to put that away and I'll use that pot for something else. And I was under there one day getting the lawnmower out and I look over and there's a little itty bitty teeny weeny green sprig, the tiniest of little green sprigs sticking up. And this is like probably in September maybe. And I thought, is that a weed? But then as it started to grow bigger, so I started to like go and look at it, right? I started to go and look at that little tiny itty bitty sprig and it was getting bigger. And then I could see the leaf shape on it. And I thought, that's a part of that plant. So my son's father, who has the greenest thumb of anyone I've ever met in my life, I gave him this container with the one sprig in it. And I said, look, if you could make this thing work or grow or not die, do it. And this May, I think it was in May, he brought it to me and it looks exactly like this. He grew it and it was a perennial and it's back again. So we'll see how many summers we can get out of that. That reminds me of this plant right here. He does the same thing with every single year. This is, I think they call this a mandevilla maybe. I'm not really sure, but something like that. Anyway, it's like a trumpet flower. And the end of every season, I give him, this is going to be like, I think we're on like the third year for this plant this year. But I had it, I gave it to him in 2023. He brought it back in 2024. I gave it back to him in 2024, and he brought this back to me this year. So we are working on 3 years of that plant. And that's the kind of stuff that I want to tell in these albums, right? Those little itty bitty stories that you would forget. Here is where I got sick, right? I took a COVID test. I didn't have COVID. I definitely was sick. There's no doubt. But yeah, so this is just like fantastic. I love looking at this. Like I said, I'm definitely going to sit down and I am definitely going to read all of the journaling that goes along with these stories. Let's flip fast forward because we've been looking at June and some of July. Let's go back here and see what we got at the end of the summer. So this is the end of July. Window open, breeze blowing in, raised chickens. This was a Zoom. This was one of the monthly Zooms with Linda, right, for the story kit. So that was super fun. I recorded that, or not recorded that, but I screenshotted it and then recorded it into my album. And chickens, something simple like this, right? That is so easy. It is just a timeout sign that I took a picture of, but it was what I wanted to tell. Photo from my son. Let's see what happens when we get back here to the end of the summer. I showed you this one, right? Me and Lola. I think I was watching an Allie Edwards video. It was great. Corn, always at the end of the summer. Again, another story about my sink. I don't even know what this is about. Oh, yes. Oh, boy. This is where I was using the sink, and all of a sudden, there was a big wet spot on the kitchen floor, and we couldn't figure out what it was. So, again, good and bad. Rainy day. my hostas. Hostas, English ivy. So again, I'm not just talking about the hostas, I'm talking about Little Summer Joys. Alrighty, going back. This is going to be August now. Okay, here I told a story about what was going on in the world. I've been avoiding that lately. I'm sure you guys can understand that. However, sometimes it becomes unavoidable and I add it in. So this is one of those things there. And time with friends. Getting to the end here. I just want to see what the end of this album looks like. So you bear with me if you don't mind. Let me just flip through another picture of my kitchen. Little itty bitty kitchen that I have. I spend a lot of time in it. And I'm not even a cook, but I'm in the kitchen quite a bit. Getting my hair done, right? Probably getting it colored and cut for school. What else? Oh, another picture. This was after the DNC. Oh gosh, that was fun to watch. I enjoyed that. But these two are some of my favorite people. Stuck in traffic, right? Stuck in traffic. My birthday, the day after my birthday, and then the last day before school started. And I believe we are ending on August the 25th this year too. So these are all my bags packed for the new school year. So that is it. And thank you for watching along today and for your interest in this project. I thank you so much for that. Like I said, it's not the most innovative project on the planet. We've all been memory keeping for however long, some of us longer than others, but it is definitely something that I enjoy to share. So just really quick, let's see what we got done so far here in this particular year. Here is my die cut. What I'm actually thinking I might do, because I don't know if I want to put another page here, is I might put my reason why here. So I might put my reason why here on a 3x4 journaling card. So that will take up another journaling card. And we are not far into this summer. So this is the last day of school. And then, oh, this is another thing I just did this year too. I created a little template, and on my walk, I had taken some pictures, and I decided to add all 6 of those photos onto a 4x6 photo. And so the template that I had allowed for 6 photos. So I put 6 photos on a 4x6. And so that is something else you can do as well. There are a lot of templates out there. I know that Happy Scrapper, I think that's what it's called. But I do know that you can get lots of different, if you're not good at creating templates, I know that there are also templates in Canva as well. So you can do that if you want to. Okay, filler card. Here's the one where I did 2 photos. So that's another thing I'm introducing this year. 2 3x4 photos. Again, both of them telling the same story, but I liked both of them and I couldn't decide which one I wanted to use of my son with his newly dyed blue hair, which I love him. He just does his own thing. But I took some screenshots while we were on the phone and I liked both of them. And then this is me after I washed the truck, and I just took a picture of the clean truck. And then I didn't share this one yet, but this is the one that I just did this morning of the Zoom call that I was on. Yeah, this is my story for 2025 so far. So once again, thank you as always for following along with me. Leave any questions you have in the comments, and hopefully we'll see you guys very soon in the next video. Have a great day.